It's time to go over your latest Cyberpunk news. Let's dive straight in right now. So we've got a brand new interview with actress Anna Rust of Cyberpunk 2077. She believes that yes, although Cyberpunk had a very rough launch, it could become the new Skyrim. Remember, Skyrim had a very buggy launch, and Cyberpunk could actually recover in the same way Skyrim did. We're going to dive into that fascinating interview in just a moment. Plus, we're going to be talking about how some of the community feels it's just over and that they are kind of hopeless, and they want to hear from CD Projekt RED and hear them say that yes, we are going to be targeting a No Man's Sky type revival. They want to hear that. Plus, Gabe Newell of Valve gives his own comments about the situation, and he's actually feeling quite bad for CD Projekt over Cyberpunk's troubled launch. So we've got a lot to go over, including, yes, a second class action lawsuit has been filed against CD Projekt RED. But hey everyone, what's happening? Overworld Games here, hope you're doing good, and let's dive straight into the news. I'm not going to neglect your top comments. We're going to go over those here in just a moment. Remember, leave a comment down below for a chance for it to end up in a future video. But let's start out and talk about this interview right here with actress Anna Rust, who lent her voice to the game, of course, Cyberpunk 2077. So let's get into what was asked specifically about Cyberpunk 2077. It says, what was it like working on that game? I thought it was brilliant. I love the scripts to death. I know that there's been some controversy about the game coming out, but I'm really confident that once the bugs are ironed out, people will see how impressive the game really is. From the story to the gameplay to the visuals to the characters, every part of this game is, in my opinion, absolutely brilliant. We're going to see the other end of it and be really impressed with the game. I remember people talking about how buggy Skyrim was, but now it's universally beloved. And that is so true. Skyrim is one of my all-time favorite open world games, RPGs ever. And you know what? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Anna here is right on the money that yes, Cyberpunk can actually pull off a Skyrim in the next 6 months to a year and become something really, really special? Now, a lot of you guys want to hear from CD Projekt RED and hear them say that, yes, we are going to try to pull off a No Man's Sky revival here. We're going to try to do everything. Yeah, we did hear their apology video and that they plan to do updates and fixes, but it was kind of like, hey, you know, they've been delayed and sort of kind of underwhelming, I guess you would say. So we want to hear more from them, but at the same time, we want proof that this can actually happen. I think that's where they're going to be working on in the back end right now, of course. But let's talk about this one here. It says, advertised content and features, let's face it, it's over. Let me know if you think this is too dramatic or if you agree with this. It says, I don't get the discussion in this sub. Bugs and performance aside, there are features and content that were clearly promised by CD Projekt RED, most of which didn't make the game. 8 million players purchased the game, trusting them to deliver as literally advertised. It's common practice to cut the occasional features. CD Projekt RED, however, dumped most key and even some standard elements. The envisioned project turned out to be way out of their league. I'm happy for those who are content with what they received. It does not, however, change the facts argued by those who are not. The latest official statements made it very clear that CD Projekt RED does not intend to deliver a No Man's Sky fashion. My guess is not because they choose to do so, but because it's simply beyond their capabilities. Do you guys think that this is true? And would you like to see some sort of major definitive edition come out in like a year or 2 years for Cyberpunk 2077? And how are you feeling currently about the actual gameplay features for Cyberpunk versus the bugs? Let's pretend, yeah, they do clear out all the bugs. The game runs perfectly. Would you still be happy with the game, or would you be felt let down by the lack of content? Honestly, I hope they start adding back-end content through the free DLC and, of course, get to the big expansions. And then in a year, we look at this game like, holy crap, this is absolutely incredible. I think it could happen, so I'm crossing my fingers that does happen and the team pulls together and pulls off a miracle. But it's going to require good morale at the studio. That's one thing they're going to have to be very, very careful of. going forward. Now, let's talk about Gabe Newell of Valve. This is the article right here from VG247. It says, Gaben says the studio should ignore the virtual and focus on making the game better. The founder of PC giant Valve, Gabe Newell, has said, that he has a lot of sympathy for Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt RED. Speaking to New Zealand publication TVNZ.com, the exec said that he felt that some aspects of the recently launched sci-fi RPG are just brilliant. He went on to say that people shouldn't throw stones at CD Projekt because what the studio has achieved is pretty amazing. Furthermore, he said this, I have a lot of sympathy with the situation that every game developer finds themselves in. So, first of all, I would like to comment on that one. So, not every game developer finds them in this particular situation that has been presented for CD Projekt RED. CD Projekt RED has definitely found themselves in this situation because they kind of put themselves in this situation by releasing the game far too early. Now, I'm just going to continue here. It says, all I know is that there are a lot of very happy gamers in the PC space, which are the ones that are most visible to us. And that is true. For sure. And it says there are aspects of the game that are just brilliant and it just shows a tremendous amount of work. It's unfair to throw stones at any other developer because just getting something as complex and ambitious as that out the door is pretty amazing. Now, I will say this, one thing that I am super impressed with is this is like the beginning of the Cyberpunk franchise. I do wish it would have gone smoothly, but I can just imagine what it can actually turn into in the future. For CD Projekt RED and the gaming community as well. When you talk about the single-player open-world experience that they can really develop and tap into in the future, and then also, yes, they can begin to develop that Cyberpunk 2077 multiplayer experience down the road with what was rumored as heists and things like that. But that would be pretty cool if they kept going with this universe. That's what I really, really want to see. I want to see this turn into something very special. Now, the article goes on to say this. Newell says, that he has received hate-filled feedback from fans in the past, and that the best opportunity is to ignore the virtual and deliver a great product that addresses fan concerns. When people have those kinds of reactions, my first thought is that this is an opportunity for us, and I assume that the Cyberpunk 2077 developers are similarly just using it to crank through and make improvements that are going to be beneficial to their customers, he said. They have a long history of doing a great job of continuing to invest in their products over time, and I suspect that they're going to be very good at making their customers happy over time. Everybody knows that if you're in this business, expectations are high, and if you do it well, people are going to let you know, and if you fail to meet those expectations, they're going to let you know. That's part of why it's a fun industry. I don't know. Fun industry. I don't think CD Projekt RED is having much fun right now, but yeah, good stuff from Gabe Newell for sure. A different opinion right there. So recently I've actually been playing a little game called Far Cry 5, and I realized how polished that game is after experiencing Cyberpunk 2077. It has tons of AI systems in it. It has AI buddies along the way, things for hire. You guys may know that system where you can get your own basically pet. It has a lot of stuff that works very, very well. And during my time playing it recently, I ran into minimal issues playing that game. And it goes to show that you really have to test your game before releasing it. And developers aren't the same in that regard. It seems like Ubisoft has a lot of that down for the most part. Don't get me wrong. They've released some bad apples as well. But yeah, let's keep going right here. Now, mentioning Gabe right here from Valve, he also did confirm something interesting, that there are multiple games in development and he wants to do more single player, which I absolutely love. The virtual reality experience, Alex, created a lot of momentum inside the company to do more of that. So yeah, that gets me super hyped to see what they're working on next. And I know that that game, Alex, was extremely well received and one of the best virtual reality experiences ever to date, which begs the question, would you like to eventually see in the coming years a Cyberpunk VR experience from CD Projekt RED? I don't think that's going to be on the top of their list, and honestly, I don't think it should be, but maybe down the road, it could be potentially something cool. I don't know, but I want them to focus on the core franchise right now. Personally, I consider that being the single-player open-world experience, Cyberpunk 2077. And yeah, let's talk about this second class action lawsuit. CD Projekt faces another second class action lawsuit filed by investors. Like the first, the lawsuit accuses the firm of engaging in misleading practices. This comes from Screen Rant. It says CD Projekt now finds itself facing a second class action lawsuit filed by investors. And similar to the first, the latest suit accuses the firm of misleading investors of the state of Cyberpunk leading up to launch. Rosen Law Firm filed the first lawsuit on behalf of investors back in late December, representing a response to the poor state in which the open world game launched, particularly on last-gen hardware. So a lot of these lawsuits are stemming from the fact that Xbox One and PS4 were so poorly optimized and that they actually had to, remove the game from PSN. If only they had just delayed those versions. That's still my opinion. I still think they should have went through with a delay for those games. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Let me know if you agree. All right, also, here's an interesting post out on Reddit by Romham, who says, instead of implementing 150 plus grindy NCPD gigs and reported crimes, CDPR should have focused on side quests and random encounters. So yeah, those are going to be like more repetitive side activities, and honestly, I'm just going to say super easy to develop, and that's kind of why they implemented them, I guess you would say. They would be quote unquote dynamic events that they would kind of advertise. But yeah, it would be cool if they would focus more efforts on those more intimate story driven side quests for sure. But I also think they could still have these dynamically driven events that are more detailed, and maybe even like 2 to 3 parts, if you know what I mean, like one part and then it keeps continuing a kind of dynamic story. One game that I think did the side activities extremely well, and I love this game, is Goshimi. So I think they should study more of those games in the future. But guess what time it is? It's time to go over your top comments. Remember to leave a comment down below for a chance for it to end up in a future video. Let's do this. So we're going to go to my previous video right now, which was titled How 800,000 Players Went to War with CD Projekt RED and Each Other. And that's basically referring to the 800,000 users on the subreddit, the Cyberpunk subreddit. It is an absolutely massive community. And it also talked about how that community basically split into two. One was more focused on a balanced opinion between criticism, negativity, and all of that stuff. There was negativity overwhelming that community, and because of that, it split into two, and there was the low sodium Cyberpunk community created, which was basically geared towards remaining positive, highlighting the good things about the game. Let's see what you guys had to say about this one. Brawman says, I'm still pissed how they made Jackie a really likable, funny character, and this just killed him off. I hear you on that one. Adrian Lopez says, I was expecting for T-Bug to make a comeback since she was killed off screen. Usually when characters die off screen, they don't really die. They usually bring them back to surprise you later in the story. So if this was like a Star Wars story, every character would be back. I'm just saying. White Wolf says this, truly, I just want to see more DLCs, cutscenes in third person, and maybe a new game plus. I don't care about all the drama. So he's enjoying the game, as well as many of you that agree with him. Davey Hogan says, just hit over 100 hours. Wish the game's story was as long as The Witcher 3's. Going to be another COVID year. Yeah, a lot of people needed something to tie them over with this whole pandemic that's going on, and one thing that we do seek is escapism through media like movies and gaming. So to have the game shorter actually isn't a positive thing for Cyberpunk, of course. And you would think by having the game shorter, they would have more time to do quality assurance and make it less glitchy, but that didn't happen either. So it's definitely really weird situation. Let's see here. Z says, social media has ruined the human race. We can never go back now. There's no going back. Sparhawk says, bugs are only one of the big issues with this game. AI, lack of customization, and interactive options with the game world, etc. are even bigger issues. Yeah, there was a lot of advertising going on in that initial E3 2018 demo about how you can interact with a lot of people, that there would be NPCs, like over 1,000 NPCs with different lives of their own, and they would have their own daily and nightly routines. That never happened at all. So again, to say these things without actually having the AI developed for them is really, really concerning for sure. But yeah, there's the latest happenings with Cyberpunk 2077. Thank you all so much for all the love and support on the videos. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk news. Hopefully we get something official about what's going on with patch 1.1. That should be soon. I'm crossing my fingers they actually release that one this upcoming weekend or early next week. They said, hey, it's going to be happening in the next 10 days, and the countdown is happening right now. We're getting closer and closer to that deadline. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.